So many of you have dropped a couple gems for child, but you ended up with like 1,000,000 beidous. Is she worth building? That's the question we're gonna answer today. There is going to be a new Primo Gem code. The code is going to be down there. It works for PlayStation 2, so I hope you guys enjoy. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. And yeah, onto the video. Beidou for life. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another GENSHIN IMPACT video. I'm Goki, and today we're going to be breaking down Beidou and see how you guys should build her. Is she worth building? How should you build her? What spots, which positions is she best as? Is she very good reactively or offensively? So if you guys have been listening to my tier list, you guys kind of know the answer for most case, but I am going to go ahead and break her down, and then we're going to lean into her artifact builds and her weapons. So here I have pulled up once again Honey Impact. So Beidou, we see her specific substat that she gets off of leveling is going to be electro damage. That's going to be important for her builds later on. But her normal attack, a little different. She performs 5 strikes versus 4 over Razor. The animation is a little bit different, and her charge attack is very similar to Deluxe in a sense, where she does a bunch of continuous slashes instead of spinning. And then her like every other Claymore user, her percentages go up as she levels up quite a bit, to the point where it triples at the very final level. And Tide Caller, this is the thing that makes Beidou unique. Before, it was Razor's Q or his elemental burst that made him unique, but Tide Caller right here is the thing that makes her very, very, very unique. And it's her cross counter, her ability to counter the opponent. So she does have specific ways of using it. If you press, she just swings across the screen. She just swings a bunch. But if you hold, she lifts her weapon as a shield. The damage is absorbed and which scales off her HP. And I'm gonna go into why you shouldn't necessarily invest in her HP for the most part. And she attacks with energy restored within the great sword, and it deals a lot of electric damage. Like, I mean, a lot of damage. So if you're being bombarded with damage while you're doing your guard, she will go ahead and just counter with tons and tons and tons of damage. It has a lot of electro damage absorption built into it, and it applies the electro element to her when you activate. You'll notice when you swing, you'll have the little electro insignia on top of her head, which signifies that she's imbued or she has enchanted electro onto her. So there's a reason why she's going to be a little different from the Razor builds, and mainly it has to be with she's constantly enchanted with electro. You might want to use a different specific set than Razor. Razor's a little unique in that sense, where his artifact equipment is a lot different than most people's towards the end of the day, end of the game, sorry. And that's because of his substat that he gains from Ascension to Ascension, but also how his character is built. We have Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker is kind of like not Chongyun's, but Kaeya's and stuff. It's a little damage tick, rotating around type of thing like Kaeya does, where he has a circle around him or like the Frost imbued, where it's spinning and it does damage. So in this case, Thunder Beast, the Targe or Stormbreaker, when normal or charge hits are landed, they create a lightning discharge that can bounce between enemies, dealing electric damage. So it's similar to a pseudo shock effect. It increases her resistance and decreases the damage taken. So there is a cute little thing you can do with this, and I think it actually makes Beidou pretty powerful if you build her this way. And a maximum of 1 lightning discharge can be triggered per second. So if you attack, you're gonna have to wait 1 second before the other lightning discharge is dropped. So if you have Tightcaller and Stormbreaker, you're relaying a ton of electro damage over and over and over again. So we're gonna build it a specific way because she needs to be built a specific way in order for her to shine more than Razor, or not more than Razor, but keep up with that damage. And this is right here her talent essential material. So the Valen Sai, I think, is what that is, and you have the gold books, and this is the more needed. Her passives: Conqueror of Ties, decrease all members swimming stamina consumption by 20%. Now, while this is pretty good quality of life, it's not as good as Razor's, because Razor's sprint affects dash costs and that's really good in fights. Swimming, you're not really swimming to fight things underwater and stuff, and you can't even attack in the water. So for the most part, it's a B tier kind of skill. I mean, it's really good for exploration, but it's not like mind-boggling overall, like really powerful, right? So Retribution, counterattacking with Tightcaller at the precise moment the character hits, grants maximum damage bonus. So you can easily ramp your damage with beidou using Retribution. And Lightning Storm, getting the following effects for 10 seconds after unleashing Tightcaller with its maximum damage bonus. So if you're countering properly, you get Lightning Storm, and it deals damage dealt by normal or charge attack is increased by 15%. Attack speed of normal and charge attack is increased by 15%. So that means that she's going to be attacking a lot faster, and if she has the Targe or Stormbreaker activated, she's going to be doing a lot more damage a lot quicker. And it reduced the delay before unleashing charge attacks, so you can charge up attacks really quickly and start spamming them a lot more. So she becomes a different beast once she hits level 80 or the level 70 passive. She kind of switches over into having a lot of offensive capability to match other units. This unit is you see the climb a little different from this unit from others. Most of the time you're blocking and countering, and doing some damage here and there, and then casting Stormbreaker to use your damage overall to finally subdue the enemy. But for the most part, Lightning Storm kind of gives her this offensive capability that she was kind of behind on for some of the other sword users, which is really good. So this kind of rounds the character up to being an efficient damage dealer or efficient character to use. For constellations though, her constellations make her lean into the direction I think you really want to go, which is the counter direction. So let's go ahead and break it down right now. When Stormbreaker is used, creates a shield. This is C1, by the way, so most of you might have this. When Stormbreaker is used, creates a shield that absorbs up to 16% of beidou's max HP for 15 seconds. This shield absorbs electric damage 250% more effectively. So you're going to be absorbing more damage from that shield via electro damage. So she's going to be absorbing that type of damage from arrows, from slimes. All those slimes is a bad example. Electro-Sison mages, I think she'll destroy those fairly easy, and probably the cube, but for the most part you're not using anything that's immune to against electro enemies. So while it's good, it's kind of counterproductive in the sense, like if she absorbed damage by 250%, it'd be way better, but sadly it's just specifically electro damage that she absorbs more effectively. Upon turbulent sea and thunder arises, this is actually pretty good for mobbing. So Stormbreaker's lightning, so when you hit an enemy with a normal or charge attack, you can spread damage all around, kind of like a shock effect. But this lets you jump to 2 other enemies. So this is like really effective for mobbing, really good for her exploration value and abyss in that case, right? So you can attack and clear mobs a lot faster. Stunning Revenge. Within 10 seconds of taking damage, Beidou's normal attacks gain 20% additional electro damage. So this is very beneficial when she's imbued with electro, meaning after Tide Caller, if she takes that damage, she's going to ramp more electro damage to be used. And Bane of Evil. So I'm not going to go over Summoner Storm and Crimson Tidewalker. We kind of know what C3 and C5 do. But Bane of Evil, during the duration of Stormbreaker, the electro res of surrounding enemy is decreased by 15%. So this is really good. This is defensive reduction and offensive increase. So this is technically a 15%. Well, not technically, because it doesn't work that way 100% of the time. But this is more like a 15% increase in electro damage for her. So for anyone who is maxing out or C6ing your beidou because you were chasing child and you didn't get child, is she worth building? From this right here, I could say yes, but it's also still dependent on your box. So we're going to move over to her sword and artifact to see whether or not that's actually worth investing in. So let's see the character as a whole. Let's see what she can do. So for the rest of the I'm going to cover the 3-star. The Bait Club, I think, is probably the best one for her, the best 3-star, because she's going to be switching in and out and countering and then doing that damage with the AoE and then leaving. So having that, the ability to refresh that every 3 seconds that she's switching out, switching in, because Beidou's style is a lot different from Razor's. You'll rarely ever see her outside just sitting there for a long time compared to Razor. So I think for the most part, she's probably handily well used on Debate Club. Sadly, Elemental Mastery and Elemental Mastery is more level based. I mean, her damage, electric damage, is more level based, and you want Elemental Mastery to increase reaction damage with her and stuff. But so attack percentage is okay. Attack percentage only really affects fire and water reactions. So we're gonna go ahead and still say this is a really strong weapon for her to use. Prototype Animus is pretty much the best free-to-play option she has, because the rest of this stuff you have to either get lucky and summon, or you have to buy the battle pass, and that's not really free to play. So Prototype Animus is probably going to be her best in slot for free to play, and that's the case for every Claymore user for the most part, except Noelle. So you're going to have to choose one if you're free to play. If you're not, and then give someone a 3-star, maybe give her the Big Club or give someone else Prototype Animus. But for the most part, this is like another Debate Club, just longer cooldown and way more damage on the AoE. And this can be built out pretty easily as long as you have the Claymore dupes. And for the most part, this is by and large your best free to play option, so keep that in mind. And other funky little things you can do, this one actually leans into her electro damage build. Her being imbued with electro damage allows her to go in, increases her damage total of her electro, and this isn't even the final refine. I believe it ends up at 40%, if I'm sure. No, it's 36. Okay, ends up at 36, which is really good. And her electro damage to begin with on her substat for Ascension is really good. Getting that additional Elemental Mastery as well. How much do you get at level, let's say at level 80, because that's like the most common like end game level that we see? 151, which is really good. So meaning that her reactions, so if you have fire out and stuff like Xian Ling's Pyro Tornado going out, you can switch in and then hold E, counter, and hit something with electro damage and ramp the damage, do tons of it, and then have all this imbuement that you can use to just mob and destroy whatever you're fighting. Really good. I think people might sleep on this for an option, but is definitely a very, very viable option. It just takes more attention to detail to use. And then Wolf Gravestone, like, if you want any Claymore user to go burr, you just put this on. And it works fantastic with her too, because it's not necessarily an offensive. It's a really offensive weapon, but it also gives everyone an increase in damage by 40%. So because of beidou switching out, she can do a ton of damage, hit something at 30%, and then switch out to something else, and then switch back in after the buff for 12 seconds is gone, and so she can keep going that way. I would only use Wolf's Gravestone if she's your main DPS. If it's not as versatile as a reactive DPS as Rain Slasher or Debate Club, but for the most part, I think this is a good. If she's your main, this is a good answer. Also, Protype Animus. Those are two if you're considering beidou as your main damage dealer or your main carry. And by and large, I think her best weapon is actually Serpent Spine. Like, this is one of her, if not best weapons, because of just how well she can use it. And the main reason is just the ability, because every time she sits on the field, she gains a stack. She deals 6 more damage and then takes 3% more. So with her cross counter, she can take that damage and re-deliver it for tons of damage. But the thing is, the stacks don't reset. You have a maximum of 5 stacks, right? So you get 30% more damage at the end of all the stacks. But if you keep switching out and switching in, you reduce the stack by 1. So she doesn't necessarily lose anything when she switches out. So it's a very powerful effect for her. Unlike, and it also benefits Razor, but Razor doesn't like switching in, switching out. Razor can probably use this weapon by and large a lot greater than she can. But the fact that if she's a reactive type, you're not going to be using this. This is definitely for main if she's your main, but you can switch out safely, not lose all of your damage increases, and then do tons of damage and switch back into her so that you can get more stacks. So at the highest end, she gets less damage taken, so 2%, and she gets 10% more for 5 stacks, so she gets 50% at the end of it. And then her critical rate goes up to 25% once she hits level 80. So this is pretty, by and large, pretty good weapon overall for beidou. I think it's probably her best weapon, if not Rain Slashes, in terms of like being able to be a reactive DPS. So what about artifacts? Well, let's go ahead and check that out. So for her artifacts, I think any type of damage boosting for early game is going to be good. Like, it's just going to be fine. Braveheart, whenever you get that. Sojourner, whenever you get that. Berserker, Martial Artist. Like, those are generically going to be good for early game and mid game. Late game, however, I actually think Thundering Fury might be the play for her. Mainly because she is more into electric bonus than Razor does, so she might lean towards Thundering Fury. So I think this is probably her best in slot set for the most cases, because if she's doing a ton of reactions and stuff, this is gonna be really good. And the fact that Diona is also on her banner, which some of you probably have pulled along with beidou, Superconduct is a thing, so boosting the damage by Superconduct by 40% is actually really good. So you have all these electro reactions that get boosts. So this is actually probably best with the Rain Slasher build. But for the most case, I think she can just use this well, period, with any weapon. It's just Rain Slasher stands out the most with this. And it reduces the skill cooldown by 1 second, which is really good. And obviously Gladiator, she can use Gladiator just fine. She uses a Claymore, so it bumps up her damage and her normal and charge percent damage by 35% when she has the 4-piece. But I do want to point out a very funny build that you could do, because she produces a shield once she casts her elemental burst, or Sea Beast Targe, Stormbearer. There you go. Retracing bullet set. It increases her shield strength by 35%. But the funny thing is, on the 4-piece, while protected by a shield, she gains an additional 40% damage to her normal and charge attack damage. So you can actually go ahead and switch her to this if you want to troll with shields. So the reason why I say this could be potentially a build for her now is Diona has been released, and Diona gives your teammates a shield on her elemental skill cast. This could potentially be really strong for your beidou, especially if she's your main DPS, and Diona is a support character for you. For the most part, these are the artifacts I would probably go for. So we're gonna ask the question again: should you build beidou? Is she worth building? My answer is, if you have the resources for her and you're looking for a new main now that you've built your first team and you're wanting to go through the rest of Abyss and you've been playing the patience game, because there's no reason to rush Abyss. Just take your time with it. Sure, you'll be losing out on the resources for like floors 9 through 12, where you have to do it bi-weekly because the rewards reset every time. You don't have to worry about it. Don't worry about that. Take your time. It's a PvE game. So, for the most part, if you feel like you want a secondary DPS and you have a choice between, let's say, a full C6 beidou and a non-C Ninyang, right? No, like maybe you got none, because in most cases, if you got a C1 Ninyang, Ningong, I would build Ning over her if I got her to at least C4. But if you have a C6 beidou and you got no dupes in Ningong, I don't know how to say her name. I would build the beidou. Not only that, if you decide to build the Ning after, beidou doesn't necessarily lose position on your team, because she can be a reactive DPS where you can just switch in to use. So, is she worth building? Yes, I think so. She has a lot of flexibility and versatility that a lot of units don't have. A lot of units have to stick in one role and just play it well. But for the most part, she's a very flexible unit, which I enjoy. She's pretty much like worse Fischl in the sense of her flexibility, because Fischl can go like full DPS and do lots and lots of damage and just go burr, and her support is a lot better than, or her reactive is a lot better than beidou's, because she doesn't have to be in the field to cause reactions. But for the most part, beidou is a really good option in terms of flexibility and how strong she's going to be. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Build your beidou if you got them dupes. Go ahead and build her. She's going to be worth it. If you're looking for a second character on your team, or a cool cat character, or you just want that pirate booty, just go ahead and build her. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that red sub button, hit that like button, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next one. Well, do I hope? No, I'll just see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.